Okay, hello everybody. It looks like it is about that time for us to go ahead and kick things off today. So today we're going to go back through some of the DevCraft Q1 release and kind of discuss a few of the new products and features that came out, but more importantly, answer some of your questions and answers that we didn't really have necessarily time to go over during the webinar. So this Hangout is just for you. So just as an introduction, my name is Michael Crump. I work as a developer advocate here at Telerik, and I have Ed with me as well. Say hey, hello, Ed.
Hi, everybody. I'm a developer advocate also with Telerik.
Okay, so we had quite a few things happen in the Q1 2015 release, and I'm just kind of looking over, some of the things that happened. Some of the big pieces of the puzzle was the Telerik report server. So the Telerik report server was one of the demos that I included. So this basically, acts as a server where you can generate and you can store reports, and you basically use a web interface for managing and sharing the reports. We also talked about some of the new controls that we added in UI for Xamarin. So we added in, things such as a list view control as well as a slot out control, and these are wrappers that are coming to for iOS and for Android. And we're also going to be talking a little bit later in the broadcast about what we did with Xamarin Forms, which is coming up. So we're going to be releasing those for Xamarin Forms. Ed can give you the rundown on some of the ASP.NET stuff, especially some of the more important things like the Ajax Export Manager, which came out, as well as responsiveness in ASP.NET Ajax. Ed, do you want to go over those just very quickly, kind of a high-level overview?
Yeah, so we talked about the Client Export Manager, which allows you to capture what's being displayed on the screen and save that down to the client as an image, PDF, or SVG formatted file. We have a new responsive Bootstrap theme. So if you're working with Bootstrap, that'll skin all of your controls to look like Bootstrap as well. So you got kind of a seamless integration. And we have a new responsive navigation control called Rad Navigation that collapses as your screen increases or decreases in width. Your menu items roll up into like a tray control.
A lot of stuff. So we also had in there, we had some UI for Windows Universal, and there we added in things like the list view and the side drawer that we talked about before, but also a looping list, numeric box. And then we came out with a bunch of brand new templates for Visual Studio to enhance developer productivity. And these templates, they helped everything from WPF to Silverlight, WinForms, Ajax, and many more. And then on top of all of that, we released a brand new version of Just Code that was for Visual Studio 2015 that was based off of the Roslyn engine. And that's something that we're very proud of, and I've been able to play with it in the latest CTP of Visual Studio 2015, and it's lightning fast. So we always can jump on. We always love playing with new toys, and especially with all of the new enhancements with Roslyn. If you haven't watched or you haven't checked out the video yet, you can actually just go to blogs.telerik.com, and you'll see the post that I just recently released. And inside of that post, it has a link to the YouTube video if you want to look at that kind of in more details. So I wanted just to give a kind of a brief overview of some of the things that we're doing that came out in Q1 2015, but more importantly, we wanted to take some of the time here and start answering some questions. So I've already got quite a few questions to go through, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to monitor the chat window at the side of the screen here and make sure that we get any additional questions that's answered as well, and just kind of have a casual chat with you to make sure, hey, you know what you were looking for in the release, make sure everything is there that you wanted, and just more kind of a casual conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kick things off, and really we can just kind of switch back and forth that if you would like about some of the questions that you saw and some of the things that were repeating questions over the webinar. So kicking things off here with the report server. The report server, this was one question that I found occurred several times throughout the webinar. And it was saying, hey, is this new product part of DevCraft, or is it, separately? So this is absolutely a brand new product, and right now it's going to be offered as part of our developer tools. We're still making tweaks right now to the license though, so stay tuned for more information regarding that. And several people have asked, is this going to be some sort of user cal or license for each user accessing the report within the report server? And most likely, and I can't tell you for sure at this point, but I can tell you that it will probably be cal-based. But we'll also probably provide a free developer version that will be for testing. But again, right now this is in the preview state, and I just wanted to go ahead and get those off the top because those were some very common questions. I've got more. Ed, do you want to take a few on ASP.NET, and then let me check the windows here to see if there's anything I'm missing?
Sure. So I've got plenty of questions from the webinar that people were asking that I'd love to cover. A lot of the questions about our new Rad Client Export Manager control. A lot of things that weren't covered in the webinar were like what formats are supported by the Client Export Manager. Actually, let me just take everybody back for a brief revisit of that control to see what it does. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick so we can take a look at that again, just so everybody knows what we're talking about. So here we go. So here we have our demo from our demo site for the Client Export Manager, and we've gone through a process to create a ticket for an event. And down at the bottom of the screen here, you'll see a button that says Export Ticket to PDF. If I click this button, the Client Export Manager takes a snapshot of this ticket and actually exports it to PDF. And then I can pull this PDF out and print it out, take the ticket with me, things like that. So one of the questions was, what formats are supported by the Client Export Manager? And all these formats are in our documentation, but just a real quick list. Those are PDF, SVG, PNG, BMP format, and also JPEG are supported by the Client Export Manager. And then another question that was really popular was, is this feature also available for ASP.NET MVC? And the Client Export Manager is actually built from our Kendo UI tools, so it's already integrated into the ASP.NET MVC UI. So I actually can pull that up for you guys. Let's see if I've got the right screen sharing here real quick. Yeah, okay, so in the Kendo UI MVC documentation, we have an API, a drawing API, and I've grabbed a snippet of that code out, and I just want to show you some really cool, powerful features here that are part of this drawing API. So I'm going to copy some JavaScript out, and I'm going to go to our QR code demo. So this is the UI for ASP.NET MVC now. And this is just one of our demo pages that shows you how our QR control works. And I'm going to right-click here, and I'm going to open up Chrome Developer Tools. And I'm going to go over to our console, and I'm going to paste in a snippet of code here. So this code is going to call the drawing API for Kendo UI. And I'm going to point this script at an HTML element. In this case, I'm going to grab the wrapper control, or the wrapper HTML that's around these 4 QR codes. And I'm just going to run this by pressing enter, and you can see it downloaded a PDF or a PNG image. And what that did is it exported that PNG image of the HTML that was in that element. So
Sweet.
I can go back and I can change this script, and I can target one individual QR code instead. So I'm going to target by ID this orange email QR code. And then if I just run this code again, it's downloading another file, and then there's our orange QR code. So just with a little bit of JavaScript, if the Kendo UI framework is already running, we can do the same export features that the Client Export Manager for Ajax has, except with MVC.
Great.
Michael, you want to take over for a few?
Yeah, I'll take over. All right, so I tell you what, let me go ahead and let me share my screen as well, and I'm going to try to address a few of the other questions that I had with the report server. So I'm going to go ahead and click share, and hopefully things are sharing now. And while that is, it should be buffering. Is it showing now? Are you able to see it?
It looks good, Mike.
Let's see. Let me go ahead and click on present to everyone. So hopefully everybody's able to see that. Okay, so I had a couple of other questions when I was looking back through the logs, and another one was, okay, can you give me a little bit more info on how to get up and get started with things? So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the report server once you actually download everything. So here I've downloaded. If you just simply go to I'll just switch back over to this screen. If you go to this Telerik products and you go over to reporting, you'll get obviously the button that will allow you to just simply download this. And actually, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong one here. I meant to click on report server. That's the easiest way to get to it. And then you click try now. Once you click on that button, then you have a zip file, and you download the zip file, and here's what comes inside of it. And I've touched on this very briefly in the webinar, but I didn't go into great detail. And that's where I'm seeing a couple of questions, coming up, asking stuff like, is this a self-hosted solution? Or, will this run on Linux? Will this run on other, operating systems? And hopefully I can clear up just some of those just by kind of walking you through that. So the first thing we see here is the report designer. And several people were asking, hey, I wanted to see what the report designer looks like. And this is actually the same report designer that we've had, in the past. So if I click on the report designer and I open it up, it'll take just a second to launch here. We can see that we have new report or open report. So here's just a couple of the recent documents that I was working with. And so I'm just going to go ahead and open up this one that was called Sales by Region Dashboard. Yeah, Sales by Region Dashboard. And you can see this is a TRDX. And right now, the only thing that the report server provides out of the box is support for Telerik reports. obviously, as time goes by, and especially as feature requests come through, we may expand out with that. But this is just one sample of the report that I used in the demo. And this, you can see down at the bottom, we have different types of connection strings, and you can configure the connection strings if you want. And here I was using SQL, which I named my data connection SQL. And I'll go back to that in just a second. So this one's named SQL, and I'm going to just hit cancel here and hit yes. And you'll see that when I log into my report server in just a moment, that the SQL data connection was put in place because I'm going to use a different data connection to maybe point to a production server. But just kind of walking back through that's the report designer. That's where you would actually build the reports out. And here's the telerik.reportserver.web. And this is basically an MVC project. And this MVC project, what I've actually done is I've just went ahead and just created an app. And I had about a 2-second demo on how I created that in IIS. If you're familiar with IIS, you just launch IIS and you create an app. But more importantly is this file called Report Server Manual. So if you open up the manual, I'm just going to drag this back over to my screen here. You will see that here is the system requirements. So there was a lot of questions about, will this run, on different boxes, and you'll see that the system requirements here is IIS and something that can use the Microsoft.NET Framework 4.5.1. And here there's actually installation steps on how you can go ahead and host this yourself. And I kind of dog fooded this for my own self, where I took this document when I was first playing with it, and I was able to get it up and running simply by following this doc. So this doc is very, very, very helpful when it comes down to it. So just to answer a couple of more questions related to that, there was other questions regarding, hey, does people need some sort of login? And you'll see as soon as you actually, and this is just running on my local host, you'll see that absolutely. I mean, this is the very first screen that comes up. And there was other screens around branding, such as, right now it says Telerik, report server. They would maybe want their own company name, and that's something that I would encourage you to add to the feedback portal. And we actually have a great place that you can put that in the feedback portal. It's just feedback.telerik.com/project/162, and you can also just find that by going to feedback.telerik.com. But once you actually you sign up and you create an account, you can log in. And while I'm logging in, another question that popped up was, can I use the report server to connect to an Oracle database? And the answer to that is yes. You can consume data in a Telerik report from an Oracle database if you're using responding ADO.NET provider. So taking a look back over at the reports, here's where I went ahead and I added in a couple of different reports. We had barcode and we had a couple of other ones. I set a couple of categories. These two features I described in detail. They're not available right now in the preview. They'll probably be coming later on. But there was several questions regarding the data here. So if I click on data, and you see that this one says SQL, SQL connection provider, and I have a SQL client provider. This goes back to the earlier demo that I was showing where I have a data connection called SQL. Now this SQL may be pointing to a test SQL Server instance, whereas over here when I've created my own, this may be pointing to my production server. So this would actually override whatever the named SQL connection provider that you added inside of your report. So I hope that clears up a couple of things there. And the other questions kind of regarding the data connections was the different types of data providers. So if you actually just click on new, you'll see that there's a list here of data providers that's available. And so you obviously can use these data providers if you would like. Just make sure you give it the same name, and obviously the connection string will look kind of different depending on what you use there. So as I keep going through a couple of other questions that was regarding the report server, one other question that I'm looking at, and it was, do I need to create separate SQL user accounts for people who want to access the data? And the answer to that one is absolutely not. You don't need to create separate SQL user accounts to access the data. This connection string in and of itself, wherever you host this, will be fine for somebody that may be viewing this report either through an HTML browser, or if they're using mobile, or kind of whatever else that they're using. So that's just a kind of a quick kind of overview on some of the report servers. I'm gonna, as we keep going through this, I'm gonna look back through and see if anybody else has any other questions that I haven't answered yet. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a moment, and we should switch back to my screen, and we'll keep going. We'll keep going through some more questions. All right, Ed, do you want me to turn it back over to you, or do you want me just to keep going?
Yeah, Mike, I'll take it for a few more minutes here.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the client export manager questions that I have. There were just a few more. Another question that was asked a lot during the webinar was, does the client export manager for Ajax do multiple pages, page breaks, headers, footers, etc.? The answer is no, it does not. This control is meant to be kind of a one-for-one, almost like a screenshot of what you're seeing on the screen. So it's more about representing what you see is what you get than generating like a PDF report. But we do have a control that is specific for building PDFs, and I'll grab that and throw it up on the screen. So we have a PDF processing library that was just added to the ASP.NET Ajax UI stuff. So take a look at PDF processing if you want more advanced features of creating a PDF and being able to share those.
Hey, there's one question.
Yeah.
I see one question that is that may be related to the PDF processing. Let me know if it's not. I tried. This is one that just came through. I tried PDF processing component, but I noticed it throws an exception when trying to import a PDF created by SSRS, so SQL Server Reporting Services, due to compatibility. Will you add compatibility with this kind of PDF files, or is this functionality is limited? So I'm assuming there you're talking about either the document processing in PDF. If that's the case, just kind of reply back and just let us know. If not, you can always just send me an email and to clarify things on that. It's just michael.crump@telerik.com. So if you still are in there, so make sure you send that over to us. I don't think that has anything. Hopefully that doesn't have anything to do with the other ASP.NET stuff you were just showing.
Yeah, we have a lot of different PDF processing pieces in all of our controls.
Yeah, they're spread throughout.
Yeah, we have them in MVC and ASP.NET Ajax and in the reporting stuff. So it's hard to tell where that's coming from. So a little more specific details would help with that. But I'm sure we can get you put in the right direction. So the client export manager, It's primarily used on the client, but we did have the question, can I save these exports to the server? And there's actually a demo in our website demos, and I'll bring it up briefly here. If you go to the Client Export Manager demo site, and you go to the bottom under Application Scenarios, there's a Save Exported Files demo that's really cool. So when you export the screen, it actually takes the exported image and sends it back to the server. And it's doing that. If you take the demo and open it up and scroll down, you'll see it's grabbing it and it's doing an Ajax call to post it back to the server. So there's some ways to grab it. There are API hooks that we have for JavaScript where you can interrupt, like on client image exporting. You can grab that method and do things inside of it. And here we're sending it, a post back with that image to save it on the server side. So that's pretty cool. I'd go check that out from our website. It's neat. Let's see. That wraps up my client export stuff. I have plenty of Bootstrap questions and some stuff about a Rad Navigation control. How are you doing, Michael? Do you need some more time?
Yeah, I can go ahead and give you a little bit of a break here and dive into a couple of the Xamarin questions that was added here, and then we'll go back through the live Q&A and answer a few of those questions as well. So one question that came through was, Xamarin UI controls, are they available for Xamarin Forms, or can I use them inside a native iOS or Android project? So for those Xamarin controls, you would absolutely be using those inside of a Xamarin.iOS or a Xamarin.android project. And one of the follow-up questions that I saw that came in for that was on my slide I had coming soon for the Xamarin.forms items. So you don't have to worry, the coming soon, I'm getting rid of that. I'm adding in here that the list view for Xamarin.forms is expected to be in the second half of May, and the side drawer component for Xamarin.forms is expected to be at the end of June. And I would have added that in, but we did not have the data at that time. So anyway, I'm happy to know that, happy to share at least that information with you, since several people were asking about it. Some of the other questions that I saw popped was about the side drawer for Windows Phone. Right now, we don't have a side drawer for Windows Phone, but we have a side drawer for Windows Universal. And we have a blog post that can be found just at blogs.telerik.com/Windows Universal. And we have another Google Hangout that will be occurring after this, and I'll give some more details about that at the end of this at this Hangout. But Sam Basu is going to be online, and he'll be able to speak a whole lot more about some of the cool stuff that happened there in Windows Universal. So a couple of the other questions that I'm seeing is regarding Xamarin is, hey, can you switch which side the side drawer comes out on? So it can actually appear on 4 sides of the screen. So you can use the left, you can use the top, you can use the right, you can use the bottom. In my example, I just used a hamburger icon, and I pointed it, the slide out navigation appeared towards the left. So you can use the different ways. Obviously, left is something that you'll see in most apps. I've seen that in everything from Foursquare app to several other apps like Delta and things like that. So if you want to do it from a different direction, then you can do that. Actually, in our Telerik UI example, we're using it from the right. Another question that was regarding the side drawer, which there were several on that one, was is it possible to add your own custom animation to that control for Xamarin? And the answer to that is Absolutely, yes, it is possible, and we have some help documentation that's available for that. And then some other people were asking, hey, is there any other examples that you can, any other samples that I can check out, with the list view control? Obviously, since we were really short for time there, we had about 15 minutes, absolutely everything. Um, I went ahead and added in a extra demo, and you would have to actually go out to my GitHub account in order to find it. So if I go back and I go to screen share again, and I go share, and I go present to everyone, you will see my GitHub repository here. I have GitHub MB Crump Xamarin Q1 2015, and here is where I actually have two demos, and this is just a Visual Studio 2013 solution. And inside of the list view, I had a demo that I didn't show you, but it is there if you want to look at it. And I'm so sorry for using regions to hide this, because people, I know some people you either love regions in C# or you hate them, but I kind of was hiding them here. You can actually go to this region and you can uncomment this and comment out the other ones, and you can see a more detailed sample. Obviously, if you're looking for more than that, and again, here is where I went ahead and I added in the side drawer example. And again, just here is just in the app delegate. This was how I was doing that. In case you want to see a full demo of how to do that, you could always just go to docs.telerik.com, and once you go to docs.telerik.com, you'll see UI for Xamarin. And if you click on UI for Xamarin and give it just a second, you'll see here's where the controls are at. Chart and calendar. This was for Xamarin.Forms. If we come back out and we look at the wrappers, so for example, the Xamarin.iOS wrappers, you'll see here is the app feedback component, the chart, data source, list view, and side drawer. And here's more information if you want to do stuff like pull to refresh, which that is another question that just had popped through about if you want to use pull to refresh. And then I did a sample of reordering in my demo. And then obviously, if you're using the list view, you want to take advantage of the data source that we added as well, data source, and that's kind of it, I guess, for Xamarin. So I'll hand the floor back over to Ed.
Okay, so I'm going to switch gears to the new Rad Navigation control. We're getting some new questions on that. So Andy asks, will the new navigation control for ASP.NET Ajax replace or phase out the older menu control? They seem to overlap some in functionality. Why would I use one versus the other? So it's kind of a multi-part question. I'll go after the first part. Does it replace or phase out the older menu control? I can't really officially say whether it does or it doesn't, but there is some overlap in the functionality, yes. I would say that the old control is going to be around, and we'll probably keep adding newer functionality to the new navigation control as time goes on. You'll find that the older control probably has a lot more features since it's been in production for so long. So if there's something that you need that the old menu control does and the new navigation control doesn't, that might be a reason to use the older menu control. But I would say that we're probably going to add more functionality to the navigation control to get it on par with the older version. There are some features that do overlap already. People were asking a lot of questions about embedding images in the new navigation control. So I'm going to just pull up the screen share again and I'm going to show off the demo that we've got on our website. So this is the new navigation control. You can see we've got quite a few menu items across. They're very deeply nested. This is something that causes a lot of trouble when you're working with responsive websites or responsive apps when you have this complex navigation like this. So if I take my, actually I'll just hit F12 and grab my developer tools and expand and contract the screen here, and you'll notice that the menu items kind of disappear and they go up inside of this hamburger menu. And we can drop this down and we can navigate this on our phones. And this eliminates a lot of, wrapping issues and stuff with other controls, like the Bootstrap menu, for example. The one that you get out of the box there has a lot of issues with this. So it's a big problem solver. So if this is something that you need in your application, I'd say go for it. Grab the new Rad Navigation and use that. If there's something very, very specific for the old menu, that the old menu does well and you just can't get the Rad Navigation to do yet, I'd use it. And as far as embedding images and things, we have templating. So if we dig through our demos here, under functionality, we can see server-side templates. So we can embed stuff in the menu. Like here we have an input box inside the menu. You could add images and things like that in there as well. Another question about, let's see, Rad Navigation. I think this is stemming again from the older menu. Can we use XML like we could with the Rad menu? And if we pull up data binding here, there's many different data sources we can use. So we can use object, sitemap, XML, or entity data source, and we can also programmatically create these data sets, IEnumerable. Those are all good for building out the menu as well. So those features are still there, or are already there. So let's see. What other questions do I have about Rad Navigation? One question I keep seeing is, how is security handled with Rad Navigation? I'm not exactly sure what specifically people are asking for on that one. If I got a more specific question, I'd love to answer that. So if anybody has some more fine details on what particular security feature they're talking about, I'd love to answer that. Another question, for Rad Navigation controls, will the Telerik testing framework support these new controls? And we are trying to support those controls. If there's not support yet, get in touch with us and see what the status is on that. But we are trying to have support for those new controls. Michael, you want to take over?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so I just saw a question about the looping list that is in Windows Universal. So we may have a demo on this next week, but you can actually grab a demo of it right now. So if you download the UI for Windows Universal and you look and you run the application, there is a demo that is already in there for the looping list. And also inside of Sam's presentation, he gave a demo of that. And inside of the, if you're still having problems finding that link, I'm going to bring up the blogs.telerik.com, and I can navigate over to where all of that was actually located at. So we provided the source code for everything as well as the slides. And so I'm just going to look at that page. I'm going to bring up that page. While that page is loading, and I think we've got it. Let me just go ahead and I'll switch over real quick again, and I'll do a screen share, and we'll go share here and present to everyone. So hopefully you can see this. This one is the one that I'm seeing the most. Asking for the video. Here's the blog post. Again, it was just blogs.telerik.com, and then you can just navigate out until you see Telerik DevTools DevCraft Q1 2015 webinar wrap up. Here's the video, obviously, but here is where all of the sample code lives. So the sample code for the Windows Universal is simply right here. The demo was included in the installer, and here is my Xamarin code, and here was Ed's code for ASP.NET, as well as a link to all the different products that we had as well. So I'll stop sharing here, and I'll go back to and I'll look at a few other questions that we had pop through. Let's see. So the next question was about the different wizards and about the radial menu. Those have been, obviously those are in our XAML control suite. So if you go to WPF, if you look at UI for WPF, you'll see the new wizard control. And this kind of gives you your classic type of wizard of, where you click next, next, finish, as well as the templates, brand new templates that are kind of inspired by Office, as well as the radial menu. The radial menu has been updated. It's been around for a couple of releases, but we've made some changes to that one. Looking through some of the other questions here. Yeah, so some of the questions are anything that's kind of related to the document processing. So I have several demos that I've kind of built out kind of over the years or over the past year on using document processing to do things like exporting to CSV, to TXT, to PDF, and so forth. And also our documentation is pretty rock solid now when it comes to that. So you can obviously check out the documentation again by just going to the docs.telerik.com, or you can go to my blogs, which is just blogs.telerik.com/Michael Crump, and you can see where I've added some sample code where in previous webinars where I've worked with the document processing libraries with converting it from many different formats. Everything from Word to TXT to back and forth, and the document processing library is absolutely very helpful when it comes to those sorts of things because it saves the license. When I worked in the medical industry, I remember one of our big things was that we had to install Microsoft Office on a bunch of different computers, and obviously that starts costing a lot of money when you have 8,000, 10,000 computers that you have to install it on. The document processing library kind of helps you get around that and allows you to go ahead and build an application and then be able to export to those formats to where maybe like the charge nurse or the person that is in charge of things is able to take that file that has been created, that XLS file, the docx file, and open it up and be able to use it. So I'm looking through the rest of the questions, and it looks like there isn't any other question that we haven't addressed. There was the one on the PDF processing that I would encourage you to send me an email on just to make sure I understand what's going on there. And that again was just michael.crump@telerik.com, and I'll make sure that we are able to respond to you from there. But other than that, I'm looking at the most commonly asked questions, and I think that's just about it. So with that being said, if you are interested in learning more and you would like to join our next Google Hangout, which is going to be happening next Tuesday at the same exact time, 11 Eastern. Come on and join us. We'll be going through more product-focused demos. If there's anything that you really want to add or see, send us a tweet, send us an email. I'm just on Twitter at mbcrump, and you can see Ed's Twitter account underneath his name in Google Hangouts, or you can send us an email. We would be more than happy to look at that and work up a demo for you from there. So I think that's about it for the day. Do you see anything else, Ed, that is regarding the Q&A or just general questions that people ask about the release that we haven't covered?
Yeah, I've got one comment that came from the webinar that's not so much a question as it is a statement, and it says, I like the new mobile responsive controls. Can't wait to use them in our projects, and I want to go talk to our local user group about them. So I'm going to share one last thing here. If you want to take and talk about some of the new responsive stuff that you saw, because it's cool that we're bringing this stuff to ASP.NET Ajax. We actually have some new boxed presentations now. And let me grab the right window here. Let's try this. So if you go to developer.telerik.com and then navigate to our community page, we have these presentations in a box, and we have presentations for Kendo UI, Telerik App Builder, and Telerik UI for ASP.NET Ajax. And if you click on these, you can get the...
Hey, Ed, I'm still seeing the Rad Wizard.
Oh. Let's see. I must have grabbed the wrong...
I'm seeing the one that says Rad Wizard.
Let me go back to... let me stop sharing. Try this again. This Google Hangouts is nice, but the UI for it doesn't give you much to go by.
I agree.
It's hard to see these. Let's see. Let me close.
Yes, yeah, so there. Yeah, that one said Rad Wizard.
Okay. Am I still screen sharing here?
No, it's back to the live stream.
I know what to do. I've got it. It's never a done presentation until you get a good demo fail, right?
There we go. Hey, well, at least this time it wasn't a demo.
Yeah. Go to the community page, scroll down a little, you'll see presentation in a box. You can grab any one of these presentations, take it to your user group, and give a presentation that's already written for you. You don't have to go through all the hard work to get your own slides set up and everything. It's great for people that want to get into speaking, and maybe it's your first session. You just want to have something that's already prepared to go. So grab one of these. Like I said, the UI for ASP.NET Ajax is there. There's stuff in there about mobile responsive behaviors and things. So grab those, make use of them, and enjoy.
And I love the presentation in a box, especially because all the time I have people ask me, hey, you know what? I want to present on ASP.NET Ajax, but you guys have added 3 or 4 new controls, or you've added all these other things, and I want just one place that I can go and always get the latest up-to-date presentation that has it in there. And the other thing is that the slides are really obviously they're going to be updated, but also the slides are very nice, and it's great when you don't have to create your own slide deck for a presentation. Yeah. I haven't had that luxury in my life, but it is something that is nice to be able just to take it, grab it, and go. Yeah. So
both of us being speakers, we know it takes 10 hours plus sometimes to get a good slide deck. So it's a good resource to go grab and just walk over to your user group and ask for a night to present, and you have everything ready to go.
Excellent. Okay, well, I believe that's it. thank you for staying with us today. Like I said, we have another meeting, another Google Hangout that's going to be just like this one, except for we'll add in some more product demos and other things like that, and that will be next week. So again, thanks for joining, and join us next week. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.